I turned 40 on a Saturday. I booked the restaurant myself, reserved the private room, ordered the cake. I even wrote my own invitations because no one else thought to. The room was set for 20. Empty chairs. A table groaning with food no one touched. The only sound was the staff clearing glasses they never poured. Even my wife didn't show. I waited 3 hours, smiled at the waiters as if everything was fine. I told them to pack the cake to go. I took it home, put it in the fridge, and never touched a slice. It sat there, mocking me, until the frosting hardened like concrete. That night she walked in, smelling of wine and laughter that didn't belong to me. She didn't even mention it. My 40th birthday. Erased. A week later her text came. Dad's birthday was amazing. $1,800. Venmo me. No apology, no acknowledgement of mine, just a demand. I stared at it. The gall, the casual cruelty. I sent her $1, with a note, "For your honesty." That was the moment the marriage died. We had been together 12 years. I used to believe in us, believed in her. I worked late, but I thought it was for us, for security, for the house, for the life we said we wanted. She wanted comfort. I gave it. She wanted freedom. I gave that too. But I was blind to the rot. I missed the late nights, the private smiles at her phone, the sudden hostility when I asked simple questions. I thought distance was normal after years together. I convinced myself I was paranoid. Her father was worse, always sneering, always calling me the safe choice. He wasn't wrong. I was safe. I was dependable. And in their world, that meant disposable. The text was my clarity. The insult was the gift. I didn't yell, didn't beg, didn't ask why she skipped my birthday but spent nearly $2,000 celebrating her father's. I simply started watching. Every morning before she woke, I logged into our accounts. Every evening when she showered, I scanned her emails. She had gotten sloppy. Receipts, hotel confirmations, bank transfers to names I didn't recognize. I saved everything. I didn't confront her. That would have given her control. I learned to play invisible. At dinner, I nodded at her stories. In bed, I pretended sleep. My silence was my weapon. I prepared for months. First, I moved money. Quietly. Not enough to notice, just enough to build my war chest. Second, I contacted a lawyer, the kind who thrives in blood. He smiled when I handed him the folder of evidence, said, "You'll win everything." Third, I waited for the right moment. It came sooner than expected. 2 nights after I sent her that single dollar, she came storming into my office at home, waving her phone. "You're pathetic. My dad thinks you're a joke. You can't even cover his birthday? What kind of man are you?" I didn't answer, just let her scream. Her words slid over me like rain. She thought silence meant weakness. She didn't know silence was the kill shot. The next morning, I filed the divorce papers. The lawyer moved fast. Assets frozen, accounts split. My evidence submitted in neat chronological order. Dates, names, photos, transactions. Her affair wasn't just rumor, it was a paper trail. She didn't know any of it until 2 days later. She came home to an empty closet on my side. The keys were on the counter. A single envelope sat by the coffee maker. Inside, the papers. And a USB drive with everything I had collected. No note, just facts. Her scream that night rattled the walls. I wasn't there to hear it, but the neighbors told me. 2 days later, the cops showed up at my office. Accusations, theft, fraud, financial abuse. Her words, not mine. She thought dragging police into it would shame me, would scare me back into submission. But I had prepared for this too. I welcomed them in, calm, hands folded on the desk. I slid the binder across the table, the same binder I gave my lawyer. Bank statements, screenshots, her signed receipts. Proof the money she accused me of stealing had been rerouted into accounts she controlled with her lover. The officers flipped pages in silence. One of them finally closed the file, looked at me, looked at her father, who had come storming in with her, red-faced, spitting threats. "Sir, you should leave," the cop told him. I will never forget the look on her face then. Not anger, not sadness, realization. She hadn't just lost control, she had lost the narrative. The fallout was swift. Her father's business deals unraveled once whispers of fraud investigations spread. Her lover, a married man, ran the second his name appeared in the divorce filings. She tried to play victim, but the evidence was iron. The court gave me the house, most of the accounts, and the one thing she thought she'd always own, my silence. I broke that too. When the judge asked if I had anything to add, I turned to her, met her eyes, and in front of everyone, her family, her lawyer, the court, I said only this: "You didn't forget my birthday, you erased it." This was my gift back. She crumbled then. Not from my words, but from their weight. Everyone in that courtroom understood. Now, months later, I sit in the house she thought she'd inherit. I drink coffee from the same mug I used the morning after my ruined birthday. The cake is gone. I threw it out the night before I left her. People ask if I regret how cold I was, if I regret not fighting for the marriage. No. You don't fight for someone who leaves you alone on your 40th birthday, then sends you an invoice for her father's celebration. You don't fight for someone who treats you as an ATM, a placeholder, a shadow. You erase them. And I did.